Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Today, I am here with my co-host, JC. Hey, JC, how you doing?
Hey, JC's doing great. You know, we're doing the third person thing today, Wendy. I'm hanging in there. You know, I've spent a lot of time, maybe too much time, on the line, on the internets. You know, that was invented by Al Gore, but George Bush renamed it. And anyways, on there, they got this magical thing inside the box about these, like, computer talky things, the whole AI. And I started digging into, like, you know, AI's role in benefit selection and leave plan shit. I went down a rabbit hole, and I kind of don't know what I'm doing with myself. I need to be course corrected. Do you have, like, a way that we could reset my perspective today?
Sure, I'm going to go back to school, get another degree. No, I'm just kidding. I am going to bring on two special guests today that can definitely make sure that they are helping us, me included, figure out how can we use AI, how can we use their services for leave plan generation and benefits as a whole. So welcome to the show today, Aidora co-founders, Anant Agarwal, and I'm going to pronounce these wrong, as well as Rhiana Gademsky. How are you guys doing today? Did I totally butcher your names?
No, that was good, and we are doing great.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. So first of all, tell us, thanks for calling in. Where are you both calling in from?
I'm in San Francisco proper, so in the city.
Okay.
And I'm in San Jose.
Awesome. Well, we got the whole United States covered. Then we got the East Coast, we got the West Coast between the four of us. And tell us just a little bit about, your company and, who was the brainchild? Why did you even develop the company? And what was the purpose to help employers?
Yeah. So we, for the past couple of years have been working on building the first AI-powered leave management software solution. So we help both HR teams and employees navigate those longer-term leaves of absence. Think your parental leaves, medical leaves, anything that's regulated on a federal, state, local level, and where the company might also have policies. It's a nightmare to navigate in this country. And so we have really done a lot of work to build a platform that allows HR teams to kind of more confidently navigate multi-state compliance, all of the employee questions, the impact on pay, to create a truly delightful experience for what's otherwise, stressful, either happy stress or sad stress for that.
Yeah. I think benefits as a whole, as the HR lady, I can tell you, benefits as a whole is a nightmare. It's stressful. It's not as bad as if you have one location, one zip code. But once you start crossing even different cities or counties, there's so many different laws. And then if you actually go into different states, oh my goodness, it's very complicated. And depending on, who's qualified for FMLA, who's not qualified for FMLA. So I alone, without even knowing too much about you yet, I'm thankful that you're here because it truly is a nightmare. And I would say it's even more so since a majority, maybe not a majority, but a lot of people are working remote, which means we can hire across state lines, right?
Yeah, definitely. Post-pandemic, we saw this wave of remote first work or hybrid work. And all of a sudden, these HR teams who once were expected to be experts in one state are now expected to be experts in, 30, 40, 50 states across all facets of employment law, leave included. And so that coupled with, rises in leave cases, predominantly due to mental health and burnout, have made this problem, which has always been challenging, even more challenging.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't think, and I can say this from experience, I'm very experienced in HR. I used to even have some licenses to sell benefits just because I thought insurance companies were taking advantage of my employer. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and get a license so that I know exactly what you're talking about. And then I decided I don't want to sell that stuff. You guys can have it. But just managing PTO alone is huge, yeah. Especially when we're across state lines. And JC actually has some statistics that he wanted to share with us.
Yeah, actually, to start things off here a little bit too, in the United States, there are currently only around 6 to 8 notable companies offering AI-powered leave management solutions that include compliance with federal, state, and local leave regulations. I could go through the whole list, but none of the other companies matter because I'm not even lying. Yours is right at the top of the list at number one, right there. The best in the United States, hands down.
That's awesome.
And believe it or not, only 24% of organizations say they're very confident in their ability to ensure AI-powered leave management systems comply with federal, state, and local regulations. So from that, there is a question of trust there in the client base. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. AI is often seen either as a black box or like a silver bullet. Can you walk us and the listeners through how Aidora's AI actually works, especially, in leave plan generation?
Right. So, applying or building AI solutions in HR space and compliance spaces is extremely complex because, as we all know, the systems can hallucinate or think of things on their own and make up stuff. So, which is like just a super no-no in the compliance space. So we kind of like run rigorous evaluation processes to figure out that, okay, to make sure that, our AI is super accurate. And I guess mixing AI with traditional software development to make sure that the compliance heavy pieces are taken care of in an accurate fashion. And the AI piece is kind of like, trying to figure out all the nuances that comes with every employee's leave. So all of these longer term leaves have come with a lot of employees' personal situation that, something is going on. This is my family member. They are on some service and they're like, some situation is happening. So AI does a great job in kind of understanding their full situation and what is going on with them, and then figuring out the best possible options or benefits that they can get from both their company and the estates and the insurance providers.
Are you trying to say AI is not always right?
Hey, that's kind of a known thing that AI is not always right. It's up to the builders to make sure that it does not have any impact on the users.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's face it, humans aren't always right either. So maybe when we combine AI plus the human brain and some critical thinking, we can win that together. JC, you have some stats on this too, right?
Only 31% of HR leaders say that they are confident in their ability to evaluate the trustworthiness of AI-powered tools used in HR decisions.
And the interesting thing is, I could tell you, I teach AI. I teach people how to use ChatGPT, and most of the folks that I do treat, they're in the HR space, and it does astonish me how many people are just afraid of it. They don't even want to use like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, and those are completely free. And that's just heck, you can create a song with those tools. Never mind help you do your actual job. So I do want to just say for our listeners today, please, please, please start using AI. It is amazing, but do know that it does come with risks, just like any kind of data. We have to validate our own internal data. When we're doing analysis, if we're doing a data dump from our HRIS system or our payroll system even, often a human fat-fingered something and they put information in wrong, so that analysis is going to come out wrong. So it's the same thing with AI as well. So what I also wanted to say to capitalize off of JC's stat there about that, only 31% of HR leaders are confident in their ability to say, yeah, AI is correct. More than 60% of employees said that they would use AI-powered tools to help them select the right benefits. And so I know we're mainly talking about leave management here, but we really need to take this conversation even a little bit further to help employees, select their benefits, because it's complicated. I was helping a friend today just negotiate an offer letter, and they're like, what should I be asking? I'm like, benefits. They gave you one blurb about benefits, but they didn't tell you what it actually was. So you need to ask more questions on that. So how does your system, ensure compliance with all laws, even like with disability, FMLA, while offering flexibility and fairness?
I think we kind of test our systems quite a bit. We run like so there's this terminology called evals. So evals is like basically just like, let's say in traditional software development, developers used to write tests to make sure that their code is working fine. Evals is the equivalent in the AI systems. So basically, we kind of design our evals to make sure that the AI is understanding the employee correctly. It is kind of it's not hallucinating. Let's say somebody said that, hey, I am expecting a baby 3 months from now, so does it do the 3 months from now correctly? Like, does it get the date right? So all of those things need to be tested, and we run comprehensive set of tests to make sure that our AI is actually understanding what the employee is saying and not making up the stuff. And then wherever things are not really so things cannot be done by AI in an accurate fashion, we use our traditional software engineering skills to kind of write software in the old fashion to make sure that it is doing things accurately.
So you mentioned the word, hallucination, and I know what that means, but for the folks that are not comfortable with AI, what does that mean?
Yes, that's like basically, let's say we say something, let's say the employee comes in and says that, hey, I'm the birthing parent. Or maybe in a more, maybe let's take this example. Actually, that will illustrate it better. So employee comes in and says, hey, my wife is expecting. Now, AI can interpret it as, hey, okay, are you giving birth? Or maybe it, instead of thinks that, okay, you are a non-birthing parent, you're a birthing parent, you're an adopting parent, it can misinterpret it. It can think of it in a different fashion. So that's where kind of some of the hallucination thing comes in, that you told it something, but it interpreted it in a totally different fashion. Taking it one step further, let's say you did not even tell it a due date, but it just kind of assumed that you are expecting within this week or something like that. So it's crisply put, basically any information that you did not give and it thought of, that's one category of hallucination. The other one, basically you gave it some information, but it misinterpreted it to something else.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that.
58% of employees are concerned that AI tools and human resources might misuse their personal data. So there's a bit of a focus there on the need for transparent or privacy-compliant AI systems.
Yeah, thank you for that. So how do we ensure that, AI or any tool that is connected to AI does preserve data privacy and ensure transparency in these decisions regarding leave?
I think a lot of it falls on the employers that are signing up these vendors. So usually any good vendor which has state-of-the-art privacy practices, they will mention it in their terms of service or in their privacy policy that how the data is being used. So, and the best thing that we can do right now is say that your data or your employees' data is not being used to train the AI systems or to train the AI models. So that protects at least the employee data from, let's say, being used by any of the AI vendors, let's say OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, for them to enhance their own models. So that kind of keeps the data safe and secure. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you very much. And I don't know, Rhiana, if you want to jump in or not, but long-term leave is rarely a one-size-fits-all issue, right? So chronic illness, mental health needs, phased returns because of whatever the person is going through. I actually just did a training today on ADA, and I had to say it 700 times. Every single situation needs to be taken on an individual basis. You cannot copy paste. So knowing about all of this, even with intermittent caregiving, how will the AI account, your AI account for employee variability in health conditions, caregiver roles, intermittent leave?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think Anant alluded to some of this. So if we take a step back, all of the leave solutions on the market to date have historically been human-based solutions because humans are really good at taking into account all of that nuance and coming up with how that affects the leave plan. And so we're basically, training our models to think like a human and be able to make those adjustments as if there was a human leave case manager. And so that way we become a platform that's way more flexible in terms of capabilities than an out-of-the-box workflow solution, which is nearly impossible to retrofit to, something like leave, which, to your point, it's not one size fits all.
Right. Never was, never will be, right? And if you have a couple employees, one in this state over here, one in this state over here, one of those employees might qualify for federal FMLA, but if their state has an FMLA or something like that, then, you just have to be very knowledgeable. I love what you just said, like the human aspect of it, the H in HR that sometimes we forget about, but now we're marrying the H in HR with AI. So, Rhiana, walk me through, like, how are HR teams using Aidora today? Is it just like a website link that the employees go on and apply for something? Does HR start it? How's that work?
It's a great question. So our core platform is, we sell into a company and it's both employee facing and HR facing. So employee will log in via desktop and initiate a leave case and figure out, what are the dates, understand their impact on pay, get some of their most commonly asked questions answered. And then it basically kicks off customized workflows for both sides that go back and forth as you go through all the various, aspects of leave. Where we decided to take that a step further is realize that not every employee is going to have access to a company that will give them really robust information on leave. So that's where we launched our free AI leave plan generator as a tool that's publicly available. And it has a very conversational format where any employee can kind of go in and say, hey, I need to take leave because I'm having a surgery and I live in California. What are my leave entitlements? And it creates a page that they can send to their HR team on, this is what I'm entitled for. So we're basically empowering, employees across the country to be able to understand their leave rights and advocate for, job protected time off in conjunction with selling a platform that helps, both companies and their employees navigate that entire process.
Awesome. You had me and my listeners and JC too at free. So tell us a little bit about that. We love that. We love to, because listen, not all companies even have HR, or let's face it, not all companies have competent HR or HR that actually cares about their employees or knows what the heck they're doing. So sometimes we're just winging it, and I get it. It happens. But I want to make sure that not just the company is protected, but that the employee says, hey, I have rights. So tell us a little bit more about your the free AI leave plan generator, and where people can access that as an employee.
Yeah, so we made that available on our website. Okay. It is linked out on our homepage, which we can share in the notes here. But it is open access, and then, like I mentioned, once a leave plan is generated, they have a call to action to send that to their HR team, which is a PDF version of that leave plan. And it really helps jumpstart that conversation with the HR team.
I love it. Now, is there also some kind of maybe free trial or something like that employers can use to see if they're, interested in jumping on board with this leave management?
We have, it's challenging, and Anant, feel free to jump in, but, for the tool to be really helpful to that employer, we have to onboard all of their company policies.
Gotcha.
And processes. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess the free AI leave plan generator, the HR team can also use that to get a vibe for how the things will look like when they start using the software. So that can be a good starting point for them as well.
I love it. I mean, just as the HR lady, the last thing I want to be doing every day is doing leave generation or leave plan generation or things like that. But if you have a big company, maybe you have somebody that specializes it. But hang on one second. JC has a question here.
I do. So thinking about the bigger picture here, and I'll pose the question, but then I'm also going to add a little framing there just for some of our audience. Okay. So I'm curious if the system, if you do offer an API associated with that, and how easily you integrate with other systems. And for those listening who may not know what an API is, application programming interface is like a handshake or a bridge between systems so that they could talk to each other in a way. Do you offer something like that?
So we connect with almost all the HRIS or HR information systems in the market. So we have like 40 plus systems that we integrate with. That's mostly like, let's say, companies have all of their data in their HR systems. When an employee comes to our portal, HRs don't have to do anything. Like employee will just come in, they will, all of their data will already be pulled on, and we will be able to suggest them the best possible leave benefits that they can get.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Follow on real quick for you in regards to that. So when we're thinking about that interface and interconnection, not everyone is a Fortune 500 company, right? And sometimes there are the mom pops or the, under 25 employees, but they're still multi-million-dollar, but a little bit smaller. Maybe they didn't make the proper investments as they should have. You can actually help accommodate in a reasonable way to all facets of business from my perspective, from what I'm reading. But do you feel the same as well? Could you talk to me about that quickly?
So we can definitely accommodate all the businesses. I think even, let's say, some company which does not have a HR system set up properly, they can use our software in a standalone fashion. So we still make it super easy if the HR system is not set up, that if the data is not there properly, employees can still come to our portal, create their profile, provide some amount of initial data, that is, let's say, when did they join, where are they working from, etc., and then just go ahead and access their benefits.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thanks for bringing that up, JC, because, technology, who would have thought that HR had to be an expert at technology too, when you're, getting into the human resource or even just the management space. Like, now I got to figure out how to run the HRIS system and payroll and this, that, and the other. So it's very, very important to understand that while many of us are comfortable with AI or technology in general, we may be comfortable using it, not necessarily understand how it works. So that's why we have experts like you out there. And I will make sure that we put the free AI leave plan generator link in the podcast notes. I just found that on your website. It's very easy to find. I have a few more questions here. How are, looking forward, how are HR teams looking ahead to reshape not just leave management, if you're willing to share this, but, using AI as a whole for benefit management as well?
I think, and Rhiana, please feel free to add your comments as well. I think one of the things in benefits is that employees have lots and lots of questions about their benefits, about how to use their benefits. So having an AI that answers all of that question, having an AI that can, like, let's say, the employees can call and talk to on their phone, that's kind of like the next frontier here. So let's say, imagine basically employee going through some situation, and that's where they kind of come to the benefits portal to figure out that, hey, how can my employer support me best here? And
Right.
usually that happens in off hours. Like, you're not looking through those stuff during your work hours. So you have some situation going on, you are at night, you're looking through the resources on your employer's portal. At that time, you have a question, and there's nobody there to support you at that time. So having AI support, being able to, where AI is able to understand all the benefits and answer the employee in a comprehensive fashion, I think that's the next unlock here in the benefits space. But yeah, Rhiana, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think the only other kind of point to add there is, as AI becomes more advanced, organizations are figuring out how to use it to not necessarily reduce headcount, but make their headcount operate more efficiently and upskill their workers. So, no one wants to spend their entire day just answering questions. And so how do we automate that so that the team members can really focus on the strategy around benefits, like analyzing the data, like making better decisions that drive the organization forward versus being in a reactive role where they're just, staying afloat with all of the admin and question answering and kind of paper pushing, as we call it, within the function.
39% of organizations are simultaneously investing in AI. and reducing their workforce. But 56% are upskilling employees to work alongside advanced AI tools. Wendy, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. Like I said before, I think people are in one category or the other, like, oh, we can get AI to replace humans. And it's like, well, I think some companies tried that. That didn't really work out too well. I think we use AI to supplement humans, especially in human resources, where we can say, hey, maybe we don't need to keep hiring more HR people, but we can use this knowledge with AI to help our own employees. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, no, I'm jumping out of my skin on that one. I had a very deep discussion with somebody this week about viewing it as a very simple human augmentation. And like we saw in broadcasting years ago in the early 2000s at the advent of automation, they cut workforces and they walked out the door. Don't lose them. Don't lose them at all. Rhiana said it best. You can upskill, you can retool, don't lose the functionality and the knowledge base that you have. Reposition that. Be strategic. Keep it in-house. But how can you advance yourself further? Well, the individual I was speaking with was very clear. We can't trust AI yet. They don't know our business model. I turned, snapped my head. Anant, you'll appreciate this. I'm like, they. The AI is they? There's more than one? What are you talking about? Are they all around you? Are they inside your tinfoil hat too? It was like I had to tone the whole thing down. It's the perception of the workforce, though, because we do also have cross generations working together at the same time. Some people want disclaimers on data that's coming from AI. One can oppose that and very simply say, give me a disclaimer every time you use a calculator, too. So I'm really at a loss here with that HR space education of the employees at the same time that we are pushing from the technology perspective. I think that's where, just like you said, Rhiana, the strategic vision, that alignment, it's so critical. Could you talk to me real quick from that leadership perspective, the strategic focus of making sure that we're not only aligning for upskilling, but for bringing people with us along the way that might not really be on board yet?
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think you're right in that there has to be some education around like what AI, where AI can benefit, and then what the limitations are. So people feel like they have all of the information and it's not necessarily this black box that they're working with. The way we think about, our tool within an organization, the way we sell it to HR leaders is, use our tool, use the AI to automate all of the admin and compliance work and the question answering, and really free up your time to simply support the employee when it matters, and kind of, get to participate in that empathetic touch point that they're going to remember, and which humans are really, really good at, reading faces, reading rooms, like body language, et cetera, and leave the AI for like all of the automated work, the workflow management, the tasks, the reminders, et cetera. And I think when you kind of couple the both, you gain people's trust, where they're not just handed off to, a bot that's, ChatGPT that's just running, they're liaising with back and forth, but they kind of get best of both worlds, which is the instantaneous answers that Anant alluded to in terms of being so important, coupled with, what feels like really personalized support that the HR team now has bandwidth to provide, because they're not getting bogged down
with the little tiny specifics. Yeah, it's super important. I saw a statistic out there, it was on law360.com, that said since 2020, there has been a 63% increase in lawsuits related to mismanagement of employee leave, specifically under the FMLA, the Family Medical and Leave Act. So, lawsuits are not fun. They're expensive, even if you win as an employer. It destroys the morale of the people that are there. Everybody finds out about it, even though it's supposed to be hush hush. It ends up in the news half the time, and it could really destroy the morale of your current employees, but then really, really harm your attraction of future employees, and then of course your retention too. So folks, at a minimum, if you even just want to say, hey, I just want to make sure we're avoiding lawsuits because we're not experts or we don't have the time to become experts at all the leave that for our employees across the United States, use some kind of technology system like Aidora, and making sure that we understand that, AI it could be dangerous and it could be wrong, just like Google could be wrong, but that's where humans come in and kind of QC the work and then focus on, like you said, Rhiana, the facial expressions, talking to people, this thing called emotional intelligence and empathy. We still need humans for that, right?
for now, but yeah.
For now, I love that.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think like when we talk to companies, we stress the compliance risk as much as we stress the reputational risk. So, just to put some stats behind it, the average FMLA lawsuit can cost a company $80,000 just to defend on top of whatever they settle at. And those can be, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when you think about the reputational risk, if an employee has a bad leave experience, they're going to talk about it, both internally and potentially through, websites like Glassdoor. And the last thing a team needs from a recruiting and retention standpoint is an employee kind of like raising the flag that they weren't treated well during this moment that matters most. So it is kind of how do we get companies to care about both the dollar impact, but, the reputational impact, which ultimately has a dollar impact.
Yeah, 100% agree. $80,000, no joke. I don't care if you're making money hand over foot or, you actually did something wrong. That's a lot of money just to defend a case. So I was going to say before we wrap up, are there any resources you'd like to share? But you already told us about the free AI leave plan generator. So we'll make sure that we send that link out to our listeners in the podcast notes. But with that said, how can people connect with you both?
Yeah, so they can visit our website to learn more, which we can link out, with the leave plan generator. It's all kind of in one. And then, both Anant and I are very active on LinkedIn. A lot of the people we want to interact with, the HR leaders, the brokers, et cetera, are very active on LinkedIn. So we've kind of made it a personal goal of ours to post about what we're doing, updates, not post a weekly update on, product feature releases. We've been shipping at incredible speed. And then we also have a newsletter where we send monthly updates on both the company and what's going on in the leave space and cool features that we're releasing. And you can sign up for that on our website.
Awesome.
The two of you have come so far. You're on the path for absolute greatness, let alone domination in this space. But do me a favor. Think back, if you could, for me, just real quick. And either of you could answer. Or both of you. If you could tell yourself one thing when you were starting this up with the knowledge that you have now, being on the backside of where you are, what would you tell yourself?
I guess basically I will warn myself that, hey, leave laws are insanely complicated. Buckle up. This is like understanding every single leave law and modeling it properly is like, it's just like a hair pulling job. Like it's super hard.
Yeah, it's funny to think about what we had scoped the product at for our MVP and then what we were able to accomplish because we wanted to do such a thorough and good job and from the compliance aspect. And I think to add on to that, I would tell myself that it's a very long but rewarding, road ahead and that you're going to be told no probably 99% of the time until it starts to shift to 90% of the time, then 85% of the time. And we're finally at a point where it's not, 10 calls with everyone saying no, and it's 10 calls with half of people being like super interested and excited and still some no's, but that just means that there's more work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. Well, hey, everybody, we hope that this podcast session has been beneficial and helpful to you. If you're interested in checking out their website, it is Aidora.com. And again, I'll put that in the podcast notes. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.